Yes, everybody. Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Hope your weekend's going swimmingly. Some of us weren't clever enough to tell other people that we weren't having West Ham for 2 weekends, and I've had a list for 2 weekends now, so I can't wait for West Ham. Although we've got an international break coming up soon, But anyway, what I thought we'd do is in these times of quiet reflection, is to do another episode of the Y series, the Y, West Ham Y. And the whole idea of the Y series is to talk about some things historically about West Ham, which you may think you know the answer, you may not know the answer, you may think, I don't fucking not bothered about that, to be honest, or you might be very bothered. The first episode we did was why West Ham sing bubbles. And that took us down the 1920s dance halls in the UK. It took us to schoolboy football. It took us to adverts. It was Swansea City and big band and all that type of stuff. And now someone slid into me DMs. That's what the kids, down with the kids. I'm down with the kids. And asked me to do a show about why West Ham playing Claret and Blue. And they referenced a story that they've heard about why West Ham playing Claret and Blue. And it's a story I've heard as well. And so I started doing a bit of investigating, reading some articles, reading some books, reading people's thoughts. And no one fucking knows. No one definitively knows why we're playing Claret and Blue. Now, the story goes, settle down, it's Jack and Ori's story time with Russie B. It starts with a gentleman called Charlie Dove. Now, Charlie Dove was a right half, as they said, for the Thames Ironworks Club. Obviously, the team that eventually would become West Ham. Maybe we'll do a bit about that in another episode if you want it. Just let me know in the comments below. Now, his father, William Dove, he was a renowned sprinter, much like myself. My PB is 11.2, just saying. And he also played a role in coaching the Thames Ironworks. But the tale goes that in 1899, William found himself in Birmingham at a fair, just a stone's throw away from Villa Park, home of Aston Villa. And it was there that he was challenged to not to a duel, but to a sprint race by 4 Aston Villa players. Think of it as you will. I don't know. Danny Dyer. No, he's got to be a coach, isn't it? Kenny Brown. Kenny Brown is in Birmingham at the ball ring, and he gets approached by John McGinn. Who's still there? Is Leon Bailey still there? Leon Bailey, John McGinn, Matty Cash, and Ollie Watkins. And they challenge him to a sprint race. And so confident were they that they would win that they wagered money on the outcome. Now, they were unaware of William's prowess when it came to sprinting. And lo and behold, he absolutely wiped the floor of them and was far too fast for them and won the race. Now, unfortunately, the Villa fans didn't have the money to pay up the bet. So instead, one of them, we'll call him John McGinn, he happened to be responsible for washing the team's kit, the Aston Villa team kit. He actually offered a full Aston Villa Claret and Blue strip as payment for losing the race. The story goes on that he actually reported the kits missing to the Aston Villa hierarchy to evade any further punishment or ridicule. But that's their fault, really. Now, this story was long considered a bit of local folklore, really, amongst West Ham, passed down through generations. However, years later, a former West Ham player from the 1930s mentioned that the club's kit was, in fact, won in a race. And this added more intrigue to the story. However, looking at it, my one slight gap in the argument in the story was this was in 1899, but West Ham didn't wear Claret and Blue till 1903. So it took 3 years for them to use the kit, particularly in the time where Thames Ironworks were a bit strapped for cash. There was a free kit there they could have used. So that's why I don't believe the story. Now, someone may have some. I haven't seen anything definitive to prove the story or to disprove it. But actually, looking at the time frames, I would suggest that it wasn't so. Now, before adopting claret and blue, the Thames Ironworks wore a variety of different colours. Historically, records describe their kits in, as we got here, Oxford blue, dark blue. Arnold Hills was a Harrow boy, schoolboy, as well as Oxford University, who will wear blue. So that was very much why his sides wore Oxford blue, and indeed that was the colour which then we wore. Is a sort of a homage to the Thames Ironworks. We moved to London Stadium for that game against Juventus when Simeone Zaza scored against us, and then beside him he didn't score. Actually, one person in that is currently playing for West Ham, and one's doing very well in the French lower leagues. The other is the director of football at West Ham. So Oxford blue being one colour, Castle blue, as you can see here, that's the light blue, as well as scarlet, so red, and vermilion, which is a posh word for claret. As the turn of the century, as the club needed and moved towards its transformation into West Ham United, their colours were actually recorded in company records as red, white, and blue. Now, financial difficulties led Arnold Hills to issue 4,000 10-shilling shares, converting his privately owned company into a public entity, and as a result, he could no longer fund the football club from the Ironworks coffers, leading to the reformation of the Ironworks to West Ham United in 1900, and he obviously became the club secretary, and West Ham continued playing at the Memorial Ground. But as I'm saying that, because if that was true, why under that sort of particular period, West Ham would have already adopted the shirts before then if we'd won them. You can see here we've got sort of a time frame of West Ham's or Thames Ironworks into West Ham United's kits. And what's interesting is that you can see clearly a move. And actually in 1899, that picture doesn't do it justice really. The socks, it said, were the claret socks. And then that was a sort of adopted into you had the trim, the red trim, and sort of the red and the claret were interchangeable. And then in 1901, obviously we see it as a famous now West Ham away strip, the 1901 strip now. But that's what they were wearing as their home strip. And in 1903, they adopted the full body, which is very reminiscent of Villa in 1899. So I can understand why it's almost an identical kit, and actually that looks like Villa's kit in terms of they have the but it was some 3 years later, and that's what I don't get. That's why I don't think it's true. That's why I don't think there's true stories. And also, Arnold Hills was a very it was a very established gentleman. And a very principle led industrialist. So, what would he have thought of them using a kit they won, a stolen kit, so to speak? It just doesn't add up to me. The red and the claret is not massively different once you start going through the Pantones to give it a graphic designers. You're in the right palette there. And red, white, and blue, obviously British colours. You had the Union Jack flag on the corner in 1896's kit with the Thames Ironworks logo. So you could see the transition there. So, and there's nothing to stop them looking at another team's kit. Oh, that looks quite nice. And then maybe adopting it. But I just don't think it's a result of winning a foot race, in my opinion. So why do West Ham play claret and blue? Maybe because we always had red, white, and blue as our kits of the Thames Ironworks, and it transitioned into claret. Unfortunately, we only can go by records and what people have said in articles, in news reports dated around the time. So the red could easily have been misinterpreted as, or sorry, the claret could have easily been misinterpreted as red, for example, without necessarily it transitioning, if that makes sense. Although it says claret and vermilion, it could have easily, or claret, scarlet, and vermilion, it could easily have been a combination of the two. But obviously that doesn't come across well because we don't have coloured photos. They're all black and white up until sort of obviously the early 1900s or early 20th century. So, yeah, an interesting one. Now, I'm sure others. I mean, I was reading some sort of famous West Ham historian books and articles and stuff, and they're very much on this trail that the Villa story is a bit of a folklore. I'm not saying there's nothing in it. They may well have won a kit. He may well have won the race, but whether that was a reason why West Ham adopted it, I don't know. But as I said, there's a 3-year gap between him winning the race and then West Ham adopting a claret and blue stripe full shirt. So, and at a time when Arnold Hills needed the money because he couldn't keep up with it. It was a lot of money running the football club, and then becoming a private public entity. Surely then he would have adopted it a year later or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, have you got any theories? Let me know what you think, and also let me know any other whys you want us to do. If you want to talk us, I don't know, about the Thames Ironworks, or why was the bowling called the bowling, or why was there a castle in the Albert? Whatever you want, let us know, and then we'll do a little video on it. Okie dokie. And hope you have a lovely rest of the weekend. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and come on, you bloody irons. Much love. Bye bye. Bye bye.